What's going on, guys? It's your boy Trolltech here. Welcome. So today we are watching the Given OVA. This is basically the last Given content we're going to be doing for a while, just because there is two movies. I think the second movie hasn't come out yet, and it's coming out in Japan soon this year sometime. But the other first movie that I haven't watched yet is not available to stream in Australia. So I I could find like a not so legal version, but I don't want to do that. Like anything I react to is gonna be like available legally. Like I'll only react to like legally available things. So I won't be reacting to that until it comes out in Australia. So that's going to be on pause for a while because there's literally no. I've looked everywhere. There's no streaming sites that have it accessible. You can't get it because it's not available like on Blu-ray or anything like that either. Like it's just impossible for me to access. And I did look. So we're going to be watching this OVA and then putting on pause, which I'm kind of disappointed about because I do know the movie is centered around Hiragi and the tall dark hair guy that doesn't speak a lot. I know it's centered around them, which I want to learn more about them. So, but we'll just wait. I'm sure it'll eventually come out in Japan. I mean, in Australia. So that's what's happening on that front. So we're watching this OVA, and if based on what I've seen, I think this OVA is the same timeline as the movie, but through the point of view of Unayama and Sato, right? I think that it shows their relationship that was happening off screen while we dealt with the drama of Ugetsu, Kaji, and Haruki, right? Haruki, is that his name? I can't remember. Also, before we get into the reaction, so what I'm going to do a bit differently. So I'm going to post my reaction on a separate thing to the discussion review section. So there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I did get a copyright strike for a given short that I posted because it was like unedited. So I got a copyright strike for that. So I was like, oh shit. Okay. So that was annoying. And I will keep the reactions that are the given reactions that are already up because I've edited them so they won't get copyright issues, hopefully. If any of them get another copyright strike, I'll probably have to take them down. But for now, they should be fine. But just to be safe, for future videos. So what I'm going to do from now on, it's still going to be freely available, the reaction. This obviously helps with copyright, but also it gives another thing. I want to do like a deep analysis of each thing I watch instead of just doing the reaction. So that gives me the opportunity to do that on my YouTube video, and then I'll still have a freely available edited down version, freely available, but it will be on my Patreon. That's the way we're going to be doing that. So you'll still have your full version, which, you'll have to join the Patreon to access, full unedited. Then you'll have the edited version, which will be freely accessible for everyone, but on my Patreon still. Like it'll be free, just it won't be on YouTube. Just obviously for the reasons I've said, copyright and so on and so forth. Like anime in general is pretty copyright dangerous because like Japan does not give a fuck because they don't have fair use in Japan, so they can just do whatever the fuck they want with any of their content. Like there's no concept of fair use there. Which is why Nintendo has such a bad like reputation in the like gaming YouTube space because they just copyright everything. So I want to be extra careful. So yeah, all the reactions will be edited down. Reaction will be on my Patreon, freely available. And the discussion review will be in the YouTube video. I think that's the best way to do it, just to be extra safe. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the Given OVA. Okay, guys, welcome back from the reaction. If you went and watched the reaction, now we're going to do a bit of a discussion of like the OVA that we just watched. I kind of want to split it off into like pros and cons of what took place, I guess. So let's talk about this. So I've got to list some pros and cons. So that's why I'll be looking at my screen every once in a while. Okay, so I think the biggest pro for me, or biggest good thing for me when it comes to this given OVA, is obviously the focus on the relationship between Uniyama and Sato, which is kind of why I watched the series. Like, don't get me wrong, the whole Kaji Haruki plot line in the movie was cool and all, but as I was watching it, I remember thinking, I'm just like, I want to go back to these two. Um, I will say narratively, Kaji and Haruki's relationship and story was more well written and more intriguing just because it was a better narrative. But I just enjoy the characters of Uniyama and Sato way more personally. But yeah, I feel like what's really interesting about this special, which I really fucking enjoy, is that it kind of delves deeper a bit more than the surface level stuff we got when they first got together at the end of the given anime. It goes deeper into their relationship and like the hesitations they have, the struggles they have, the insecurities. Because we have Sato, part of the pair, who is very much still got trauma he's dealing with, and I feel like this special was necessary for us as the viewer to really realize, okay, he's kind of taking a step forward and looking to start a new chapter based on the new song they made and just like the scenes that we see in this special. I feel like it would have I feel like the show could have this concept could have been should have been a movie in my opinion, because I did feel like a lot of it was rushed. Like the song idea and then making the song, it felt like that section felt very rushed because they didn't have time. There was a special, it was like 20-25 minutes. So I definitely feel like they should have left this for a movie. But with what they had, I think they did really well personally. So I think from that perspective, it was fine. But I definitely feel that there was a lot rushed, a lot missing. Like I feel like there was at least 5 or 6 missing scenes from the last scene to the scene before that. Like them from the scene in the staircase where he sings the song to the concert or whatever to the last scene where it's Uniyama and Sato just chilling on and just talking and whatever. I feel like there was at least 3 or 4 scenes missing. It felt like it was just a time skip and then suddenly they're just, you know what I mean? So I definitely feel like this section of the story struggled when it comes to the development of events and of what happened. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it struggles because of how little time they have. But I will say with the limited time, I think they did the best they could. I do feel like they could have focused a bit more on, us seeing the Kaji Haruki stuff in the background more in this. But again, you can't do that because it's only 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long. So again, it just struggles a lot by the fact that it's a special instead of a movie. Now, moving on, another strength, in my opinion, is closure that we get and the growth of the characters. I felt like with the way Given ended, I felt that the characters kind of the story ended midway through what was happening. I got no sense of closure with it, with Sato and Uniyama. Like they got together and that was the end. We didn't really see anything beyond that. We didn't see potential struggles in the relationship. Sato hadn't really fully dealt with his trauma. Like there was a lot of things that were missing from the end of the show. And it almost felt like even as a band and as artists, it just kind of like cut midway through the way that they were growing as a group and as artists. So I definitely feel like this was necessary to get a sense of closure, at least for now, on the characters, their relationships, them growing from their traumas, and so on and so forth. Like that's why this special and the movie both felt really important from that perspective, because with the movie obviously was necessary because you needed to go what was going on with Kaji and Haruki, because obviously they had elements of a vibe in the show, but they didn't really explore that. So the movie was necessary. And this was necessary, I feel like, mainly to get closure with Sato dealing with his traumas as a result of Yuki's death, right? Because that was kind of just put on hold in the show a bit. So I think this was necessary, but again, I feel like it could have been done so much better if they did a movie like they did for Kaji and Haruki's movie. I feel like so many weaknesses of this special is the fact that it doesn't have more time to explore those things. What I love about Given, especially in this OVA special, whatever you want to call it, is the way they use music for the plot line. Like even the concept of, like, which I was talking about in the reaction, you have in each section of the story or the narrative or the relationships, the song leads to where that relationship or the story is at the time. So like I was saying, the first song was about loss and trauma. The second song was kind of about accepting that trauma and the losses that we have in life. And the third song was about finding like new beginnings, right? I love the way they use music to further the plot and to kind of, I guess, cement the headspace of the characters and the way they've grown. So I just love that. And I think the special did that, did that justice for the time they had to do. Again, if it was a movie, the way they use music could have been so much more well developed and better. And my biggest review of this special is that it should have fucking been a movie. That's all I can say, really. I don't know. It just feels like the fact that it wasn't a movie made it so much worse than it could have been. Like, you just needed to add an extra half an hour, and I feel like this special would be so much better than it is. Don't get me wrong, I really liked it. It's a solid like 8 out of 10, but it could have been like a 10 out of 10 if it just had more time to explore a bunch of things. I think the last pro, which is just undisputed, is the fact it's fucking beautiful. Like this special is so beautifully animated. The color palette is amazing. Like the softness of the lines, like the animation is smooth. Like it's visually beautiful. It's very well animated. Everything about the animation, the movement of the characters, the color grading, the color palette is just beautifully done. But again, the narrative things are both, there's pros and cons when it comes to the narrative. But even within the pros, there's like a con aspect because you have these amazing ideas that aren't being able to fully be explored because you don't have the time, because it's only 25 minutes. If you had 1 hour or an hour and a half to really explore those narrative beats, like the emotional growth of the characters, the plot developments, the relationship developments, if you really explored that and had time to explore that, it would be such a better like story and just a better piece of work. But again, time constraints is really, I think, what made this weaker than it could have been, in my opinion. Anyway, that's my review of Given. Of the Given special. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed this new format. Because I think this is probably the way we're going to be able to do reactions, because I just don't want this channel to get fully copyright deleted. You know what I mean? I think this is the safest way to do it, because you can still watch the reaction. You just won't be watching it on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's still, again, the reaction is still free, available freely, or the edited version at least is free. So you're not losing anything. I'm just making sure I'm extra safe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time for whatever show we decide to do. Goodbye.